I want to go over basically the fundamentals of fat loss. And the fundamentals of fat loss is that you have to be in a caloric deficit. Now, there's a big difference between being in a caloric deficit and then eating as low as you can. That's not usually going to work because you can slow down some of your metabolic processes, which can slow down results. Plus, it's a huge stress to your body, so you might be, maybe you're losing a little fat, but you're not going to notice it because you're going to retain so much water, because when we're really stressed, we retain water. So that, I'm not talking about that, but you have to be in some type of caloric deficit to lose weight. So you can do this by tracking your calories. You can do this by tracking some like portion sizes. I talked about a lot about Precision Nutrition's handful diet, where you track portions by handful, or any other way that you can track portions. So you can definitely, that's one way. And then even with tracking calories, there's a big difference between, to me, like tracking calories through, like, say, MyFitnessPal, basically doing the eyeball test, versus you just kind of go through it and you're like, oh, that looks like 4 ounces of chicken, that looks like a cup of rice. Those two things can be very different because one's probably going to be very accurate, one's going to be maybe not as accurate, depending on your knowledge of nutrition and what calories what food what calories. So for example, like I've been watching what I eat for a long time, so I can look at something and I probably have a better idea of the calories and the nutrients in that certain food than most people, or people that haven't done that. The second way is that you can indirectly get into a caloric deficit, and this is where a lot of popular trends are. I've done some of them. I recommend some of them. And again, if you want to start with it, that's good, but you might have to realize that if they're not working for you, you might have to do the more typical calorie counting, or measuring your portions in some way. So these are things like keto, paleo, even intermediate fasting. A lot of times they talked about you get results because keto produces ketones, or with paleo, it's because you're not eating processed food, you're not eating sugar. When the truth is that it causes you to be in a deficit in a consistent basis. So so for keto, if you cut carbs out completely, it's harder to overeat because you took a whole food group out. If you do paleo is a lot of unprocessed food, and that's one of the things I've advocated ever since I was training. Is like, if you eat less processed food, a lot of times you'll lose weight because you're going to overall eat less calories. You're not going to create inflammation in your body, so you're probably not going to retain so much water weight, or even intermediate fasting. So if you don't like binge or overeat, so think about if you do the typical one, which is you fast from like 8 p.m. at night to 12 p.m. And then you only eat from like 12 p.m. to 8 a.m. Again, if you eat in moderation, you're probably going to lose weight because there's a big chunk of your day that you probably were eating calories that you didn't. But one of my favorite ways of fasting that I've done in the past is doing 1 to 2 24-hour fasts. And again, it works. It can do other things for your body, but the main reasons why it helped me lose fat, and why it helps other people lose fat, is because you're going to create a caloric deficit. If you don't eat for 24 hours and you don't binge after you fast, or you, like you're supposed to, you don't act like you fast, so you don't compensate before or after, again, you're going to put your body in a deficit, which allows you to lose fat. Or even more habit-based stuff that I talk about a lot, like if you drink more water, if you eat more protein, you have more fiber in your diet, so you have more fruits and vegetables, you eat less processed food. Like, all these things are going to indirectly affect being in a deficit, and that's really the most important thing with fat loss. There's no magical workout, magical supplement, or even fat loss food. It's about being in a deficit and doing something that allows you to be on a deficit in a consistent basis, and not get into the typical, like, you might be in a deficit Monday through Friday, but then the weekends are crazy and you don't track, and what ends up happening is that you kind of make yourself even. And a lot of times that's why people might be in the same position like week after week, because they're in deficit during the week, but then they overcompensate during the weekend. Not enough so that you gain weight, but enough that you kind of basically maintain what you get. So those are the essentials of fat loss. So if you're trying to lose fat, focus on one of them. Focus on the direct method, where you're going to track your portions, calories. The more strict you can be with that, and the more accurate you can be with that, the better. Or indirectly,